What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Rob back with another video. Now I'm here to give you my 1 week with the MacBook Air M1. And I am still highly impressed with this particular laptop. One of the features that I really have been enjoying is the fact that the display on this is really on point. I like the color reproduction of it. Everything is nice and smooth and clear. I'm really enjoying it. But you might be saying, well, it is a small display. But if you understand where I was coming from, I was using an iPad Pro 11-inch, and I was already using a small display. So I really wasn't spoiled with the fact that I was coming down from a much larger display, which made the transition a lot easier. Even if you had an iPad 12.9-inch, you'd be pretty much looking at the same type of display. Now, what I did find that I really prefer with this MacBook was the fact that I did like the way the keyboard felt with this particular laptop. Now, don't get me wrong, you can buy aftermarket keyboards to work with the iPad Pro, and yeah, those are pretty good, but those keys always felt a little mushy and kind of lack responsiveness. And with the keyboard on this MacBook Air, I truly enjoy actually typing on this computer. Now, I really miss using a trackpad when it comes to editing. When I try to edit with the iPad, using the actual trackpad that came with some of the keyboards was a problem. Using the pencil to actively get the proper spot where I was trying to make a cut in one of my edits was a little difficult. And it was just, it just didn't really feel like everything had a nice flow when it comes to editing. I always felt like I was worried that something was going to go wrong, and it didn't really give me that reassuring feeling that I was actually doing a real good job when it comes to editing. One of the good things about the new M1 chip that's in the MacBook, that you can use iPad apps and iPhone apps on board. So I was able to download LumaFusion and put it on my new MacBook. So now I have the option of using Final Cut or LumaFusion as, whichever one I decide to edit with. Now, the battery life on this is awesome. I'm telling you, I think I might have charged this literally twice in 1 week. I mean, that should give you an idea of the type of power this battery have. I think it's set up where I think Apple says it can go up to 18 hours on a MacBook Air before needing the actual charge. And the MacBook Pro 13-inch M1 chip can go up to 20 hours before you actually need to charge it. Now, the software, Big Sur, runs beautifully with the M1 chip. I think though, with the battery and the software working hand in hand, adds to the actual longevity of how much time you can get using this particular MacBook Air. Also, the price. One thing though, here's something interesting. If you're trading in an older device, from what I read and from what I understand now, they're giving you more on trade-ins for iPads, and they're kind of discounting older laptops when it comes to trading in. So if you decide to trade in, Apple do have a pretty decent trade-in program where they will give you a nice chunk of change to knock off the price of this particular MacBook. I do have the base model with the 8 gigabytes of memory chipset. Due to the fact that I traded in an older iPad, I was able to get $400 off of the price, $999 MacBook Air. So that was a big plus for me actually picking this up. So think about that. If you're thinking about getting one, if you have something laying around the house, an old iPad that might get you an extra $100 to $200 off, think about trading it in towards the purchase of a MacBook Air. Now, there were some reasons that I'm hoping that can get fixed with software updates. One of the things that I've noticed is there's an aggressive adaptive display. And what I mean is the display will get dark when I turn the brightness up, the adaptive display, in an effort to try to create a more, I guess, comfortable viewing. It darkens itself to the point where I find it to be a little in the way. So I do have to go in my settings, turn off the adaptive display, and set the display to my particular likings. I do appreciate that it's there, but for the most part, it really doesn't help me out. Now, the Bluetooth is kind of spotty. I kind of hope that can get fixed in a software update. There's been times where my Bluetooth will cut off on me, and I am using Apple AirPods Pros. So I'm not using any type of Bluetooth that's not in the Apple ecosystem. This happens with Apple products and third-party headphones where you're getting a little spottiness with the Bluetooth connectivity, and hopefully that's something that can be fixed in a future software update. Lack of software at the launch of this M1. There are a lot of companies that are trying to catch up, trying to get their software optimized. I do know if you're an Adobe Shop fan, a lot of the Adobe software hasn't been upgraded to work with the M1 chips. Also, if you're a Final Cut editor, a lot of the plugins are not updated yet to work with the M1 chip. So some of my favorite plugins when it comes to using Final Cut hasn't updated. I use a lot of Motion VX plugins, and they haven't been optimized as of yet to work with them. So a lot of my favorite plugins that I like to use to add different graphics to my videos and what have you, I'm waiting and I'm hoping that they get it done as soon as possible. Now, if you're coming from a larger device, a larger MacBook, like a 15-inch, 16-inch, but it's like pretty old, 3, 4, 5 years old, you may need to wait if you don't think you can deal with a 13-inch side screen. I would actually suggest that you wait. If you've been using, like I say, a larger display for over 5 years, it will probably be like one of the toughest things you can do, actually dropping down to a smaller size configured computer. Even though these chip processors are way more powerful than what you may have in your laptop, I would suggest waiting. I'm quite sure the news of new MacBooks will be pretty soon. I'm assuming that we should start hearing stuff within the first quarter of 2021. So again, just wait it out. I would not recommend you coming down to a smaller size configured computer, knowing literally after you buy this 3 to 6 months later, you're going to be hearing news of way more powerful MacBooks with a better chip processor that can keep up with the workflow that you pretty much is looking to have. Another problem that I kind of wish that this had was more lightning ports on the side. 2 of them is just not doing it, but at the same time, I can still make it work within my workflow. But I kind of do wish that they did have extra ports on the side. It would be a plus and would have made this a much better special purchase if it had those extra ports on the side. The small stereo speakers that comes with the MacBook Air, they will suffice. But again, if you're having a lot of Bluetooth connectivity problems and you're kind of frustrated and you decided not to use your headphones anymore, I kind of wish that the actual stereo speakers was a little bit better than what they offered. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that they did put them on there and they are pretty decent, but in comparison to the MacBook 13-inch Pro, no comparison. Way better speakers on that one. So be aware if you are thinking about getting this. The speakers are a little on the so-so side. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 6 to a 7 as far as just the actual sound quality. But if you just want to try to listen to YouTube videos and you're not trying to make sure you're getting the exact perfect playback in your ears, these speakers would do. So overall, like I said, it's been 1 week. I truly enjoyed my experience with this MacBook Air, and I would recommend this computer to quite a few people out there. But there is a caveat. If you're one of those people who need a larger display and you use your laptop as your main workhorse for whatever you do for your business, making money, being creative, wait for the bigger ones to come out in a few months. But if you're a student, if you're somebody who's trying to start a YouTube channel for the first time and you don't want to invest a lot of money in a laptop, and you like to edit on iMovie, or if you like LumaFusion, if you use that on an iPad, knowing that you can now do that on this particular MacBook now, by all means, jump on board, get one of these. I would highly recommend this. Buying Final Cut is a little bit of an expensive product, but once you do buy Final Cut, it is yours to use forever. So there's not a subscriber-based type of thing when it comes to software like Adobe Pro. So again, if you're trying to save money, those three particular software will work beautifully with this. So I would recommend those two. I would recommend this laptop to those creatives out there. And also, if you're a student and you're in the Apple ecosystem, works perfectly. The longevity of the battery, if you're a student and you're out and about, you're trying to do your homework and everything, you can pretty much get by throughout your whole school day without having to drag along like a battery pack. And you can pretty much get through a whole day using this computer. So again, if you're a student, a great pickup. So that pretty much does it with my 1 week MacBook Air M1. If you have any questions, please leave those down below. If you have subscribed to my channel, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those who haven't, please hit that subscribe button and you can catch more videos like this. And again, thank you. And I catch everybody in my next video. I'm out.